What's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It's Noname back at it again with another weekly predictions and picks video. I just want to say this is my second time recording this because the first time I recorded it, apparently no sound was recorded. So yeah, I feel some type of way about that. So when I actually move on to week 3, you're gonna see all my picks already on the screen. I'm still gonna go through them and explain them, but I mean it would have been too much work for me to reset the picks and then make them again. But as usual, I'm first going to do a quick recap of week 2. A great week of football in terms of the matchups, in terms of how the matchups went down. A terrible week in terms of all the injuries we got. It seemed like every single team got a whole litany of ACL injuries or that knocked players out for the season, or some other type of injury that would knock them out for a couple of weeks. And in that case, it was bad. But in terms of football, it was just really great matchups. Talking about Raiders at Saints, for example. I mean, I said in my first two weekly predictions video that the Raiders were going to surprise people. They were going to be better than people thought. But I mean, like, beating the Saints, though, I don't think anybody expected that, man. The Raiders straight out came out and they didn't necessarily dominate, but they were definitely the better team out there in week 2 compared to the Saints, who had a lot of sloppy football mistakes, and the Raiders just pounded the rock. And I'm keeping my eye on them more than ever now because I had faith in them beforehand. Like I said, I thought they were going to be better than everybody thought. But now with this win, this isn't a small win, and with the way they played, pounding the rock, Darren Waller, their main receiver and whatnot, very good, very interesting. I mean, you know, of course I'm taking an interest in them because that's what the Giants were supposed to be. Another really interesting matchup was Jaguars at Titans. Gardner Minshew is still fighting, keeping his team alive. Patriots at Seahawks was really, really good. Of course, the Seahawks did come away with the win, and I'm trying to pull up my week 2, like my actual week 2 picks right now. But in week 1 I went 11-5. In week 2 I think I went 14-2 or 13-3 if I could pull it up. I went 13-3 because I picked the Vikings to beat the Colts, but the Colts dismantled the Vikings. So 13-3, 11-5, that puts my final record at 24-8. Not too bad, you know, definitely improving. Let me know what you guys have as your record, and let's go on to week 3 right here. So the first matchup of week 3, and like I said, all the picks are already up there, but I'm gonna go through them. Dolphins at Jaguars. So I took the Jaguars simply because of Gardner Minshew and what he's doing right now. He's absolutely fighting to keep his job, and for the Jaguars not to tank for Trevor. And Gardner Minshew looks really good out there. He's one of my favorite young QBs right now, and I really think he's about to will this team to a win because this is going to be a close game. The Dolphins are not performing as well as everybody expected them to in 2020. Given what they did last year, they were a lot more competitive than everybody expected. That coaching staff of Brian Flores and the guys that he assembled, they look really good. And the Dolphins just kind of falling short of that so far. Although I will say it is 2 weeks into the NFL season. But Gardner Minshew is just doing what a franchise quarterback does, and that's willing your team to win. Raiders at Patriots. This was another game I said was going to be extremely, extremely close. Week 3, man. This is going to be like the week of close matchups, so to speak. But Raiders at Patriots. I'm going with Raiders here because they're coming in with momentum. Because I feel like this is going to be an offensive game in the sense that that is going to just depend on who could score more points. And not necessarily an offensive game in the sense that it's going to be, you know, high scoring, like, you know, 40-35 or something like that. Because I do think that both defenses are really good. And the Patriots defense is certainly not as good as it was last year. That was shown in the Seahawks game. And it's going to be really close, but I think it's just going to be a matter of who could put up more points. And I will say I think the Raiders are going to win the time of possession game because of Jalen Richard and Josh Jacobs and Cam Newton and the Patriots over there. They're not going to be any slouches, but I'm just going to give this one to the Raiders. It's going to be a really, really close one. Unfortunately, I do have the Steelers beating the Texans, which puts Deshaun Watson and the Texans starting out at 0-3. Very similar to their 2018 campaign. I think they started out 0-3. Can't remember if they made the playoffs then. I think they did. Of course, Deshaun Watson willing them to the playoffs, one of the best young QBs in the league. But I just don't see a way that they beat the Steelers. The Steelers right now, in my opinion, have the best defense in the league, or at the very least top 2, top 3. And that defense could really hold any offense down. I mean, because of that, whenever the Steelers and Ravens first match up, it's going to be a more difficult decision for me to make. But Steelers are rolling right now, man. They're one of the best teams in the AFC. Definitely one of the best defenses, if not the best defense. And their offense is good enough to take care of whatever the Texans could throw at them there. So I'm going with the Steelers. Jets at Colts. Very similar situation, although the Colts are, not what I expected them to be. Of course, they came away with a win in week 2. They're still going to beat the Jets, you know what I'm saying? The Jets are just not a good team right now, and the Colts are just overall a better team than they are. I see no way in the world that the Jets win this game unless everybody in the Colts goes down with an injury. Chiefs at Ravens, Monday Night Football. This is going to be a great one. Just like how I expect Dolphins at Jaguars to be a really good game, Raiders at Patriots, Chiefs at Ravens is the best matchup of the week. This is possibly a preview of the AFC Championship game right here. You got the two best teams in the entire NFL going head-to-head. Patrick Mahomes, the 2018 MVP, my bad. And then Lamar Jackson, the 2019 MVP. Two young quarterbacks, the two best quarterbacks in the entire league, on two of the best teams in the entire league. What more could you ask for? If there wasn't, the AFC and the NFC, this would be a dream Super Bowl matchup. But we're getting it right here in week 3. And while the Ravens are home, and while it's arguable that the Ravens might have a better defense, I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs because they're currently just the better team. You know what I'm saying? I think that they're so well poised to go back to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl for the second year in a row. I really don't see any teams beating them like that. Of course, it was a shock that that game against the Chargers went down the wire, but I think that might have been an aberration. And I think the Chiefs are going to come away with a win here. That's not to say they won't be challenged come playoff times when they inevitably are going to face the Ravens. But as of right now, week 3 is still very early. I'm going to give it to the Chiefs. Rams at Bills. And I have the Rams winning this one here. Now, first off, let's talk about Josh Allen and the Bills. Josh Allen has played very, very good. Near I say elite throughout the first 2 weeks of the season. And I'm not gonna, tear him down or anything like that. Because before this year, let's be honest, Josh Allen was not a good quarterback. He's had a lot of criticisms, and he's just seemed to burst out in the 2020 season. Not to discredit what he's done, all I'm gonna say is his opponents the first 2 weeks was Miami and the Jets. Not exactly the best teams in the league right now. Bottom of the league type of teams, right? That's all I'm gonna say, to put context to it. Now, on the Rams side of things, it seems like their offense is finally getting back on track. They're finally running the football a bit more, using Jared Goff like they used to in 2018 and 2017. Not so much like in 2019 when they would pass the ball a little too much. Their defense is better than I expected it to be, and I think that they could actually come in here and win against the Bills. I don't know if it's going to be a close game, but I just think that the Rams are a better team, and I think a lot of people are underestimating them. Now, if Josh Allen does win this game, and it would take, their quarterback, the Bills quarterback, absolutely balling out to win this game, then I'm going to start really considering if he's elite or not. We got the football team at the Browns here. This is the football team has returned to what they are after the aberration in week 1 beating the Eagles. Then again, the Eagles are not exactly the best team in the league right now, and the Browns are seemingly trending in the right direction after beating the Cincinnati Bengals. Then again, the Bengals aren't exactly the best team in the league right now. So, these are two teams where it's like you're going to have to keep your eye on them for maybe the first 6-7 weeks or so to see what they truly are. But I do think the Browns are going to win. They're just a better team than the football team, that is. And then right next, I got the two teams I was talking about that they went up against. Bengals at Eagles. Eagles are in a really bad shape right now. Carson Wentz looked really bad in week 2 to the point that his coach was like, he doesn't even know what's happening. And usually you want your coach to support you no matter what. You want your coach to say, oh yeah, don't worry about it, he's going to get back into the flow of things. But Doug Peterson is out here seemingly giving up on Carson Wentz. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is going to start anytime soon, but what I am saying is Wentz is definitely fighting for his job, and it's a little too early for him to be doing that. Dude is only in his 4th year, only in the 3rd week of the season of his 4th year. Not a great situation right now. And honestly, guys, don't be surprised if Cincinnati comes away with a win here. I'm just going with the Eagles for simple effect of the pedigree at the coaching. And right now, Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Joe Burrow. Titans at Vikings. King Henry, Derrick Henry is going to roll through and beat the Vikings up. I think that Kirk Cousins looked terrible in week 2 against the Colts. And I think this pass rush, this underrated pass rush of the Titans, and honestly underrated defense of the Titans, Clowney, Harold Landry and whatnot, I think that they are probably going to make Kirk Cousins look bad again, even if it gets to a close game. These are two very similarly built teams, and I think the Titans are just better than the Vikings, and they come away with a win here. Panthers at Chargers. This is a game that I do think is going to go down in the wire, but after seeing the performance of rookie quarterback Justin Herbert in week 2, and the fact that the Chargers managed to keep it close, I think they're going to come out with the win here. It is unfortunate what happened to Tyrod Taylor. He was in the hospital because of a mishap from the Chargers medical staff. Hopefully, that employee has been taken care of and Tyrod could come to a good recovery. because his season came to an untimely end because of it. Buccaneers at Broncos. The Buccaneers were going to win this game even if the Broncos were at full strength with Drew Lock and Courtland Sutton, who's out for the season. But the Buccaneers are a better team right now. I mean, even on the defensive side, you know, Von Miller is out for the season and whatnot. The Broncos are just too beat up. Even if they weren't beat up, they were a team that was, at least on the offensive end, very much in development compared to that of the Buccaneers. And so the Buccaneers take that win. Bears at Falcons. It's probably a shock that I have the 0-2 Falcons beating the 2-0 Bears, but I just firmly believe that the Falcons are not as bad as their record states. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference between the 0-2 Falcons and, like, I don't know, the 0-2 Dolphins or something, or the 0-2 Jets. There's definitely a difference between those teams. And yeah, the Falcons blew the lead as usual against Dallas, the first team in NFL history to go 39 up, up 39 points without any turnovers or anything, and then they end up losing the game somehow on like a very stupid football play where all they had to do was fall on the ball and they would win the game. But the reason I'm saying they win this game is because I think they're going to be playing with immense passion and energy, and the Bears could definitely take it. The Bears could 100% come out here and then just show us that the Falcons are a trash team. But I don't know, man. I'm going to go with the Falcons because I feel like they're going to be playing for something more important than the Bears are right now. And the Falcons can't afford to lose because going 0-3 historically, when it comes to playoffs and whatnot, you're not going to be in a good position to make it. Of course, 49ers at Giants is going to have its own video. Lions at Cardinals. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. They look like the better team right now. Kyler Murray is playing like a really good quarterback right now. And the Lions, in a third year of their quote-unquote rebuild / restructuring, doesn't look as good as they should. You know what I'm saying? Matt Patricia, I think at the end of this year, if playoffs are not there, is going to be fired. Matt Stafford, another one of these, great Lions players that just been stuck with a terrible team, terrible management and whatnot. Fortunately, it looks like his career is just not going to amount to anything much. But I think the Cardinals take this one. They're better all around right now. Cowboys at Seahawks. Seahawks, because Russell Wilson is on an MVP campaign. He's on an absolute warpath to show everybody that he's the best quarterback in the NFL. Some people, including myself, thought that he should have won the MVP last year instead of Lamar. And he's really up there right next to Patrick Mahomes in terms of being the best quarterback in the NFL right now. And he doesn't get recognition for it. And throughout the first 2 weeks, he's playing like he's on that mission. I think the Seahawks take this one. Same thing could be said for the Packers, which is why I have them being the Saints. In addition to the fact that the Saints looked bad in week 2. They didn't look terrible, but you talk about 100 penalty yards on a team that's supposed to be Super Bowl bound and get beaten by the Raiders, a team that was rebuilding, retooling. They don't look the best right now. And Aaron Rodgers, who looks like his old self, 2016 Aaron Rodgers and whatnot, he's on very much a similar path to Russell Wilson, which I find funny because honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we have an NFC Championship game of Seahawks-Packers, which is a rematch of the 2014 NFC Championship game with the same two quarterbacks in Rodgers and Wilson. But I really think that's what it's headed at. And the Packers, they look really good right now. Not really any chinks in that armor. So I do think they take the game here. That's my weekly picks and predictions video for week 3. Let me know what you think. Put your comments down below, your record, and who you got. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'll catch y'all in the next one.